Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, my assistant and I are going to show you how to measure your body correctly for crocheted and knitwear garments. Before I begin, I want to give a bit of a trigger warning. Today's video will talk a lot about body size and body measurements, and I know this can be difficult for some people. Please know that I truly believe that no matter what your body's measurements are, you deserve to have clothing that fits you well and that you're comfortable and confident wearing. The numbers that you get when you measure your body are going to give you the power to create crocheted clothing that fits your body. Let's talk a little bit about the sizes in patterns. The vast majority of knit and crochet wear designers use one of two different standard sizing charts. You could roll your wiggles out? Okay. My assistant said that's enough work for today, so he's off. There's the, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, Isolde measurement charts, and there's the Craft Yarn Council measurement charts. Both of these measurement charts are pretty similar. Craft Yarn Council, the bust measurements go up by 4-inch increments, whereas Isolde, they go up by 2-inch increments. The Craft Yarn Council sizes range from 28 inches to 62 inches in the bust, and the Isolde range from 30 inches to 60 inches. Both of these measurement charts are based on your body's measurements, not the measurements of the finished piece. Designers can opt to do their sizing in a couple of different ways. The first being just finished measurement sizes. So you choose your size based on the finished measurement that you want for your body. The way I do it is working that ease into the pattern itself so that makers choose their size based on their actual bust measurement to get a similar amount of ease that I did with the sample that I made. Whether that's positive ease, meaning the finished object fits larger than your bust measurement, or negative ease, where the finished object fits smaller than your bust measurement. Both ways are perfectly fine, and from a maker's perspective, both ways still give you options. You could size up or size down if you want more or less ease. And if you're the smallest size or the largest size, you could tweak a little bit to get a little bit more or a little bit less ease. Sticking with the example of a sweater, say a sweater has 4 inches of intended positive ease around your bust. So say your bust measurement is 34 inches. That means the finished object will be 38 inches. If you take all of your body's measurements, it's very unlikely that they are all going to fall neatly within one size on the size chart. So it's important to look at what the designer recommends for choosing a size, and to look at the finished measurements to see how they correspond to your body. So just because maybe you have a small size bust, maybe your bicep is medium, maybe your hips are large, you might have to tweak certain areas of the pattern to fit your unique body. But I always recommend choosing your size based on what the designer recommends and then modifying from there, rather than instantly sizing up because your bicep is larger or sizing down because your hips are smaller. If you are interested in learning more specifics about modifying a garment to your body, I have a low-fee workshop where I run you through how to do the math. I give you a spreadsheet that helps you do the math, and I tell you when and where to add in those increases and decreases in order to modify to your body. I'll put the link to that workshop in the description below. Most knit and crochet wear that I've seen go off of 3 main measurements: your bust, your waist, and your hips. Now let me show you exactly how I measure my body and how you can measure yours. To measure your body, you're going to need a flexible tape measure. If you don't have a flexible tape measure, you could, and it's not going to be as accurate, but you could cut a piece of scrap yarn to the measurement of your body, making sure not to pull the yarn tight to stretch it out, and then lay the yarn flat against a ruler or a structured tape measure. Now, I recommend measuring your body wearing only the undergarments that you plan to wear under the finished object. So if you're going to wear something like a push-up bra or Spanx, underneath that finished object, make sure you wear them when you're measuring your body, because things like a push-up bra and Spanx or shapewear can change our body's measurements by several inches. For the purposes of me measuring my body and posting it on the internet, I'm gonna wear clothes, but I'm wearing clothes that are form-fitting, so we'll get the measurements pretty close. Let's start at the start. Bust measurement. The bust measurement is the most common one we see in crochet and knitwear because we're making a lot of sweaters. Sometimes people get a little bit confused with the bust and with the hip measurement. Most crochet and knitwear patterns use the maximum measurements, not the upper measurements. What do I mean by that? Upper bust is up here where our underarm splits, right? So the upper bust measurement for most people, this is not for all people, for most people is smaller than the bust measurement. This measurement is not very commonly used in crochet and knitwear. Typically, it's the full bust measurement that is used. Full bust is what it sounds like. The fullest part of your bust, the maximum measurement that you get around your bust. The fullest part, make sure you go straight across your back and around the fullest part of your bust. And that is the bust measurement. Most knit and crochet patterns use that full bust measurement to determine their sizes for things like sweaters, tank tops, t-shirts, etc. Another measurement sometimes used is under bust, and it's in the name as well. Directly underneath your bust is your under bust. This one is difficult to see, so you might have to hold the tape measure and then look at it after. Next, let's talk about the waist measurement. This one I think is the one that people get incorrect most often. Your waist measurement is the narrowest place between your bust and your full hips. And where that is varies a lot from person to person. For most people, it will be around the belly button, maybe a little bit above, maybe a little bit below, but around the belly button area. For me, you can see it's kind of right here in the middle, just below where this tank top goes to. I saw something recently that said if you're having difficulty locating where you should measure your waist, I'm gonna just roll this up a little bit for this. Tip to the side. Where that crease happens or where you're hinging at, that's your waist. So that's where you're going to take that waist measurement from. I think waist measurements are probably one of the ones that is most triggering, especially for women. It's just a number. Remember, it's just a number. Wrap that tape measure around and get that number. Next, let's talk about high hips. These are often confused with the full hip measurement. High hips are kind of over your hip bones here. This measurement is likely going to be smaller than your full hip measurement. High hip measurement, I find, is not used very often in the yarny world. Full hip or low hip measurement is around the fullest part of your hips and your booty. Make sure that you're getting as much of that booty in there as you can and as much of the hip bones on the sides that you can. Now let's look at some of the trickier ones to do by yourself. Measuring your bicep or upper arm by yourself can be challenging, but here's my secret to do it. I run the tape measure behind my arm first, and then I bring it around front like this. You want to make sure that you're not actively flexing when doing this. That is the bicep or upper arm measurement. Another less commonly used measurement is your cross back shoulder to shoulder. This one's very challenging to do by yourself, but essentially you're going to try and measure from the top of this shoulder to the top of this shoulder across. And I just kind of pinch my tape measure on each side, boop, to get that measurement. One thing to note is height. This is something that we vary by a lot. And from what I understand, both Isolde and the Craft Yarn Council use the average woman's height for all of the sizes. That means that whether you're an extra small or a 5X, they're assuming that you are 5'4" or 5'5". If you're taller than 5'5" or shorter than 5'5", that might affect how many rounds you do on a top-down sweater, say. But no matter your height, no matter your measurements, I always recommend choosing your size, based on what the designer recommends in the pattern. So that could be your hip measurement or your bust measurement or something different. Now, you've done the work of getting the accurate measurements for your body, and I cannot stress this enough. You now need to make sure that you get the right gauge. If you're not sure how to get the right gauge, I did a 5-part YouTube series on gauge, and I'll link the playlist to that below. Another reminder is that patterns are just a starting point for making your handmade wardrobe. So if you're making something and it's not fitting or looking the way that you want it to, go ahead and add some more stitches or take out a few stitches or rows. You are the captain of this ship. It's your handmade wardrobe, so make it what you want it to be. I hope that this video helped you to learn how to measure your body so that you end up with a crocheted wardrobe that fits you perfectly. If you have any more questions about measuring your body, pop them in the comments below, and I'll see you next week. Happy crocheting. Bye-bye.